The 2009 Heineken Cup quarter-final between Harlequins and Leinster became infamous due to a calculated act of deception. With the game hanging in the balance, Harlequins wing Tom Williams feigned a blood injury using a capsule filled with fake blood. This ruse was orchestrated to facilitate the re-entry of fly half Nick Evans, a key player who had previously been substituted. The plan was to leverage the blood substitution rule, which allows for temporary replacements in case of genuine blood injuries. Investigations revealed that this was not an isolated incident. Harlequins had employed similar tactics on multiple occasions, exploiting the blood substitution rule to gain a competitive edge. The scandal, dubbed Bloodgate, led to severe repercussions. Director of Rugby Dean Richards received a 3-year ban, Williams was suspended for 4 months, and the club faced a hefty fine. The incident tarnished the club's reputation and raised questions about the ethical standards. The scandal prompted a re-evaluation of substitution rules and the implementation of stricter regulations to prevent such abuses. It also sparked a broader conversation about the lengths teams might go to secure victory, highlighting the need for integrity in sportsmanship. The medical professional involved, Dr. Wendy Chapman, faced disciplinary action for her role in the deception, further emphasizing the gravity of the misconduct. Bloodgate remains a cautionary tale in rugby history, illustrating how the pursuit of success can lead to ethical compromises. It serves as a reminder of the importance of upholding the spirit of the game and the consequences of undermining it through deceitful practices. In the early 2000s, international rugby faced a significant controversy known as Grannygate. The scandal centered around players representing national teams without meeting the eligibility criteria set by World Rugby. Notably, New Zealand-born players Shane Howarth and Brett Sinkinson played for Wales, claiming ancestral ties that were later proven false. Their participation raised concerns about the verification processes for national team selection. The revelation that these players lacked legitimate claims to Welsh ancestry led to their suspension and cast a shadow over Wales's international matches during that period. The incident exposed loopholes in the system where players could exploit lax verification procedures to gain international caps. It also sparked debates about national identity and the authenticity of team compositions in international rugby. In response to the scandal, World Rugby tightened its eligibility rules, implementing more rigorous documentation requirements to verify players' qualifications. The governing body emphasized the importance of maintaining the integrity of international competitions by ensuring that players genuinely represent the nations they play for. The incident served as a catalyst for reforms aimed at preserving the authenticity of national team selections. Grannygate underscored the need for transparency and accountability in the selection processes of national teams. It highlighted how the desire to field competitive squads could lead to ethical oversights, ultimately compromising the spirit of fair play in international rugby. In preparation for the 2003 Rugby World Cup, the South African national team underwent Kamp Staaldraad. Intended as a team-building exercise, the camp subjected players to extreme and dehumanizing conditions. Reports detailed instances of players being forced into freezing water, stripped naked, and subjected to psychological torment, including the playing of national anthems of rival teams during these ordeals. The camp's methods drew widespread condemnation for their brutality and questionable effectiveness. Critics argued that such extreme measures were more likely to traumatize players than to foster team cohesion. The exposure of these practices led to a public outcry and prompted investigations into the decision-making processes. The scandal resulted in significant changes within the South African Rugby Union, including the dismissal of key personnel responsible for the camp. It also sparked a broader discussion about the ethics of training, methodologies, and the responsibility of sports organizations to safeguard the well-being of their athletes. The incident became emblematic of the dangers of unchecked authority and the potential for abuse under the guise of team development. Kamp Staaldraad serves as a stark reminder of the importance of ethical considerations in sports training. It highlights the need for oversight and the prioritization of players' mental and physical health in the pursuit of excellence on the field. The 1995 Rugby World Cup final between South Africa and New Zealand, several New Zealand players fell ill with food poisoning, leading to suspicions that they had been deliberately targeted to weaken their performance. The incident, often referred to as the Suzie scandal, remains one of rugby's most enduring controversies. Despite the illness, the All Blacks competed in the final, ultimately losing to South Africa in a closely contested match. The circumstances surrounding their sudden illness fueled conspiracy theories, with some suggesting that the poisoning was orchestrated to ensure a South African victory. Investigations failed to provide conclusive evidence, leaving the matter unresolved and shrouded in mystery. The controversy highlighted the vulnerabilities teams face during international competitions, particularly regarding security and health protocols. It prompted teams to adopt stricter measures to protect players from potential sabotage, including enhanced food safety and accommodation security. The incident also underscored the intense pressures and high stakes associated with international rugby tournaments. The 1995 food poisoning incident remains a topic of debate and speculation within the rugby community. It serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of safeguarding athlete welfare and the potential for off-field factors to influence the outcomes of major sporting events. In 2019, English rugby club Saracens faced severe penalties for breaching the Premiership rugby salary cap. Investigations revealed that the club had circumvented financial regulations by entering into business partnerships with players, effectively providing undisclosed payments beyond the permitted salary limits. This breach compromised the integrity of the competition and raised concerns about financial fairness in the league. As a result of the violations, Saracens were fined $36 million and relegated from the Premiership, despite having secured multiple titles during the period of non-compliance. The scandal prompted a re-evaluation of salary cap enforcement mechanisms and led to increased scrutiny of club finances across the league. It also sparked debates about the balance between financial competitiveness and regulatory compliance in professional rugby. The fallout from the scandal extended to the club's reputation and its relationships with other teams and stakeholders. Saracens' dominance during the period in question was called into question, with critics arguing that their success was tainted by financial misconduct. The incident underscored the importance of transparency and adherence to financial regulations to maintain a level playing field in professional sports. Saracens' salary cap breach serves as a significant example of how financial improprieties can undermine the credibility of sporting competitions. It highlights the necessity for robust oversight and the enforcement of regulations to preserve the integrity of the game. The 2003 Rugby World Cup, hosted by Australia, was overshadowed by a ticketing scandal that drew widespread criticism. Australian Rugby Union, ARU, had mishandled ticket allocations, favouring sponsors and corporate partners over genuine fans. This led to public outrage as many supporters were unable to secure tickets to key matches despite the availability of seats. The controversy prompted an investigation into the ARU's ticketing practices, revealing a lack of transparency and fairness in the distribution process. The findings damaged the organisation's reputation and raised questions about the commercialisation of major sporting events. Fans and stakeholders called for reforms to ensure equitable access to tickets and greater accountability in event management. In response to the backlash, the ARU implemented changes to its ticketing policies, aiming to prioritise fan access and improve transparency. The incident served as a wake-up call for sports governing bodies about the importance of maintaining public trust and the potential consequences of prioritising commercial interests over fan engagement. The 2003 World Cup ticketing scandal underscores the need for ethical considerations in the organisation of major sporting events. It highlights the delicate balance between commercial partnerships and the responsibility to serve the broader fan base. The quarter-final match between Scotland and Australia in the 2015 Rugby World Cup became a focal point of controversy due to a contentious refereeing decision. In the closing minutes, referee Craig Joubert awarded a penalty to Australia, leading to their narrow victory. The decision was widely criticised, with many believing it was incorrect and cost Scotland a place in the semi-finals. Joubert's immediate departure from the field after the match further fueled speculation and criticism. World Rugby later acknowledged that the penalty decision was erroneous, intensifying debates about the use of technology and the accountability of referees in high-stakes matches. The incident highlighted the challenges officials face and the impact of their decisions on the outcomes of games. In the aftermath, calls for the implementation of video referee assistance in such critical moments gained momentum. The controversy prompted discussions about the need for greater support and review mechanisms for match officials to ensure fairness and accuracy in decision-making. The 2015 refereeing controversy serves as a reminder of the human element in sports officiating and the importance of leveraging technology to enhance the integrity of the game. The 1981 tour of New Zealand by South Africa's national rugby team, the Springboks, sparked significant civil unrest and became one of the most politically charged events in rugby history. Amidst the apartheid regime in South Africa, the tour was met with widespread protests across New Zealand, with opponents condemning the sporting engagement as an endorsement of racial segregation. Demonstrations disrupted matches, and clashes between protesters and police were common, reflecting deep societal divisions. The tour proceeded despite the turmoil, leading to a national debate about the intersection of sports and politics. The events forced rugby organisations and governments worldwide to reconsider their positions on engaging. Controversy contributed to South Africa's sporting isolation, as international pressure mounted to sever ties until the end of apartheid. The tour's legacy is a testament to the power of sports as a platform for political expression and the ethical responsibilities of sporting bodies in global affairs. The 1981 Springboks tour underscores the profound impact that political contexts can have on sports and the role of athletes and organisations in advocating for social justice. In 1998, English rugby player Kevin Yates was involved in a notorious incident during a match between Saracens and London Scottish. Yates was accused of biting the ear of opponent Simon Fenn, causing a severe injury that required 25 stitches. The act was deemed one of the most violent and unsportsmanlike behaviours in professional rugby at the time. Although Yates initially denied the allegations, a disciplinary panel found him guilty based on evidence and testimony, resulting in a 6-month ban from the sport. The incident shocked the rugby community and led to widespread media coverage. Many viewed it as a sign that disciplinary standards needed to be reinforced more rigorously. Critics argued that such behaviour tarnished the image of the sport and sent a poor message to fans and young athletes. The punishment, though significant, sparked debates about whether the length of the suspension was sufficient to deter future misconduct of this nature. In the aftermath, rugby unions and governing bodies took steps to improve disciplinary processes and emphasise player conduct. The Yates incident became a reference point in discussions about violence in rugby, contributing to a broader movement toward cleaning up the sport and reinforcing values of respect and sportsmanship. It also brought greater attention to the role of video evidence in disciplinary hearings. Kevin Yates's actions remain one of the darkest moments in English rugby history. Though he returned to professional play after serving his ban, the stigma of the incident followed him throughout his career. It served as a wake-up call for the sport, emphasizing the need for strict enforcement of rules and the consequences of violent behavior on and off the field. Several players were accused of using performance-enhancing drugs during the top 14 season, with allegations centering around the club's medical practices and oversight. Investigations by the French anti-doping agency uncovered irregularities in medical records and the unauthorized distribution of banned substances among players. The scandal ignited a national conversation about drug use in professional rugby. For a sport that prides itself on physical toughness and integrity, the revelations were deeply damaging. The French Rugby Federation faced pressure to implement more rigorous testing and oversight as public confidence in the sport's fairness waned. Agents' management faced intense scrutiny, and a number of players were suspended, although many avoided long-term bans due to procedural limitations in evidence collection. The fallout prompted French rugby to reform its approach to drug testing and athlete education. Greater emphasis was placed on preventive measures, including outreach programs and stricter monitoring of medical personnel within clubs. The scandal also pushed for closer cooperation with international anti-doping bodies to ensure compliance with global standards. While SUAGN eventually recovered its reputation, the 2001 doping scandal remains a cautionary chapter in its history. It highlighted the vulnerability of club systems to unethical practices and reinforced the importance of safeguarding the sport's integrity through transparent and accountable governance.